name is Bruce DeLaney. I own Rediscovered Books along with my wife Laura, and in support of Banned Books Week, I'm going to be reading from one of my favorite banned books, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. This book is banned in many places because of the sympathetic portrait of witches and wizards that it has. A lot of grade schools have asked to have it banned or restricted. I look at it and say I think everyone should read this book because Harry, Ron, and Hermione, for me, typify what every parent would like their kids to grow up as. Good people who are willing to make sacrifices for the greater good. I'm going to be reading from one of my favorite passages when Harry actually goes onto the Hogwarts Express. Harry woke at 5 o'clock the next morning and was too excited and nervous to go back to sleep. He got up and pulled on his jeans because he didn't want to walk into the station in his wizard's robes. He'd change on the train. He checked his Hogwarts list yet again to make sure he had everything he needed, saw that Hedwig was shut safely in her cage, then paced the room, waiting for the Dursleys to get up. 2 hours later, Harry's huge, heavy trunk had been loaded into the Dursleys' car. Aunt Petunia had talked Dudley into sitting next to Harry, and they had set off. They reached King's Cross at 10:30. Uncle Vernon dumped Harry's trunk onto a cart and wheeled it into the station for him. Harry thought this was strangely kind until Uncle Vernon stopped dead, facing the platforms with a nasty grin on his face. "Well, there you are, boy. Platform 9, Platform 10. Your platform should be somewhere in the middle, but they don't seem to have built it yet, do they?" He was quite right, of course. There was a big plastic number 9 over one platform, and a big plastic number 10 over the one next to it, and in the middle, nothing at all. "Have a good term," said Uncle Vernon with an even nastier smile. He left without another word. Harry turned and saw the Dursleys drive away. All three of them were laughing. Harry's mouth went rather dry. What on earth was he going to do? He was starting to attract a lot of funny looks because of Hedwig. He'd have to ask someone. He stopped a passing guard, but didn't dare mention Platform 9 3/4. The guard had never heard of Hogwarts, and when Harry couldn't even tell him what part of the country it was in, he started to get annoyed, as though Harry was being stupid on purpose. Getting desperate, Harry asked for the train that left at 11 o'clock, but the guard said there wasn't one. In the end, the guards drove away, muttering about time wasters. Harry was now trying hard not to panic. According to the large clock over the arrivals board, he had 10 minutes left to get on the train to Hogwarts, and he had no idea how to do it. He was stranded in the middle of a station with a trunk he could hardly lift, a pocket full of wizard money, and a large owl. Hagrid must have forgotten to tell him something you had to do, like tapping the third brick to the left to get into Diagon Alley. He wondered if he should get out his wand and start tapping the ticket inspector's stand between platforms 9 and 10. At that moment, a group of people passed just behind him, and he caught a few words of what they were saying. Packed with muggles, of course. Harry swung around. The speaker was a plump woman who was talking to 4 boys, all with flaming red hair. Each of them was pushing a trunk like Harry's in front of him, and they had an owl. Heart hammering, Harry pushed his cart after them. They stopped, and so did he, just near enough to hear what they were saying. "Now, what's the platform number?" said the boy's mother. 9 3/4, piped a small girl, also red-haired, who was holding her hand. "Mom, can't I go?" "You're not old enough, Ginny. Now be quiet." "All right, Percy, you go first." What looked like the oldest boy marched towards platforms 9 and 10. Harry watched, careful not to blink in case he missed it, but just as the boy reached the dividing barrier between the two platforms, a large crowd of tourists came swarming in front of him. By the time the last backpack had cleared away, the boy had vanished. "Fred, you're next," the plump woman said. "I'm not Fred, I'm George," said the boy. "Honestly, woman, you call yourself our mother. Can't you tell I'm George?" "Sorry, George, dear. Only joking, I'm Fred," said the boy, and off he went. His twin was called after him to hurry up, and he must have done so, because a second later he'd gone. But how had he done it? Now the third brother was walking briskly towards the barrier. He was almost there, when quite suddenly, he wasn't anywhere. There was nothing else for it. "Excuse me," Harry said to the plump woman. "Hello, dear," she said. "First time at Hogwarts?" "Ron's new, too." She pointed to the last and youngest of her sons. He was tall, thin, and gangling, with freckles, big hands and feet, and a long nose. "Yes," said Harry, the thing, I don't know how to get onto the platform," she said kindly, and Harry nodded. "Not to worry," she said. "All you have to do is walk straight at the barrier between platforms 9 and 10. Don't stop. And don't be scared to crash into it. That's very important. Best to do it at a bit of a run if you're nervous. Go on now, before Ron. Okay, said Harry. He pushed his trolley around and started at the barrier. It looked very solid. He started to walk towards it. People jostled him on their way to the platforms 9 and 10. Harry walked more quickly. He was going to smash right into the barrier and he'd be in trouble. Leaning forward onto his cart, he broke into a heavy run. The barrier was coming nearer and nearer. He wouldn't be able to stop. The cart was out of control. He was a foot away. He closed his eyes, ready for a crash. It didn't come. He kept on running. He opened his eyes. A scarlet steam engine was waiting next to a platform packed with people. A sign overhead said the Hogwarts Express, 11 o'clock. Harry looked behind him and saw a wrought iron archway where the barrier had been, and the words platform 9 3/4 on it. He had died.